So I started my print-on-demand Etsy shop about 3 years ago. And since then, I've built it to a place where I've had tens of thousands of sales and $1.5 million of revenue pass through the shop. But before I could get to this point, I had to start with achieving those first 100 sales. Those first 100 sales were seriously the most difficult sales for me to scrounge up in my shop. I remember month after month, and it took me 6 months to get those 100 sales. Month after month, I was putting in so many hours every week into my Etsy shop, and I would divide it up to see my profit versus my time put in, and I was literally making pennies per hour. I'm talking like, I remember figuring out one time making 2 pennies per hour, and then another time figuring it out, I was like, oh, I'm moving up. I'm making 6 pennies per hour. But it was pennies per hour for months. And it did take me around 1,000 listings to get those 100 sales, those first 100 sales. But it did not take me another 1,000 listings to get to 200. It was scalable from there. Today we're going to go over 6 things that I have learned help get sales and movement and momentum in your shop. And if I were going to start a new shop tomorrow, I would 100% do these 6 things from the very beginning. 1, if you haven't already, go ahead and download the Etsy Sellers app to your phone. This is going to make it very easy for you to see alerts, and I would have the alerts on so you see like a little banner across the top of your phone. If someone reaches out to you with a question, be quick to answer them. This is something that's still really important to me today in my shop. With all of the sales that I've had, I still want my shop to grow, and this is one of the ways that I help myself do that. Now, the reason that this is so important, someone is on Etsy, they're searching for something, and they see your listing. So they message you. As a matter of fact, my very first sale, I was at school. I used to be a 4th grade school teacher. I was at school and I see a little alert. I was super duper excited because it was the first person that ever messaged me. I see this alert and someone's asking me about a shirt. I've got no social proof in my shop, so I've got no reviews yet because no one's purchased. This person probably wanted to make sure that they were going to get the items and they wanted to be able to trust that this transaction was going to go well. It happened to be a principal of a school. She was buying shirts for her staff, so it actually wound up being a sale of something like 28 shirts or 30 shirts, something like that. And she started messaging with me first. I messaged her back immediately. I remember lining my students up at the door. I was dropping them off somewhere. I had my phone in my hand. I could hardly wait to drop my students off at Specials, Computer or P, wherever it was. And I remember walking back in the hallways with my phone in front of me after I dropped them off, reading the message, and realizing she wanted to buy a number of shirts. I was like, my heart was like, oh, that was just so excited. And I could barely wait to message her back. Now, you better believe if she's messaging me, she probably had her eye on some other shops too. And if I had not messaged her back until, let's say, after school or after I was done tutoring that day, she probably would have already gotten a message back with some other seller. So when you have the app on your phone, especially in the beginning where you're trying to get those first sales, that's like a little gold nugget. Someone just messaged you, try to message them back right away. And that Sellers app is going to help you do that. Number 2 kind of goes along with number 1. When you get that message, whatever it is, try your best to say yes. Can you personalize this design for me and add a name? Yes. Yes, I can. Can you change the color scheme of this design and do this other color scheme instead? Yes. Why, yes, I can. I'm looking into buying some of your shirts and I was wondering if you'd offer me a special discount. Why, yes. Yes, I can. And it doesn't have to be a big discount. I usually just do an extra 5% off of whatever sale I'm running. So let's say you're doing a 30% sale in your shop, send them a 35% discount. This makes them feel special. It makes them feel like they've got some special attention. They're getting a special deal. And when you tell people yes, you are so much more likely to convert them into a sale. As a matter of fact, when you are on the app in the phone, I'm not sure if it's on the desktop. I think there's one place where I can't access it. I might be wrong. But there is this function where it says quick discount right underneath the messages. You can actually send them a quick discount. And what's really cool, if one of those percentages work for you, that's available in that drop down, it puts a timer on it. It'll say, they need to buy within the next 5 days in order to get that discount. So it's even better because that's creating a sense of urgency for them. And this is really just most important, especially when you're trying to get to that 100th sale and those first sales, because you need those sales so you can get social proof, 5-star reviews, so you can get worked in the algorithm and start gaining that initial momentum, which is so hard. So once you have some eyeballs on you and those eyeballs are interested enough to message you, try to say yes if you can. Now, of course, if they're asking you for something that you can't do, like, can you make sure that this ink glows in the dark? Or can you gift wrap this? You don't want to promise them something that they're going to be disappointed when it gets there. So if you have to say no, then of course say no if it's something you can't accomplish. But if there's any way for you to accomplish what it is they're asking, make it happen. Tip number 3, and well, it seems kind of obvious, but it's worth saying right now. Add more listings. Yes, add more listings. The more listings you add to your shop, the better your chances of getting found by shoppers, which could eventually lead to more sales. We are not in control of how many sales we have, but we are totally in control of how many listings we put up in our shops. Now, the quality of those listings and the consistency in which we are adding them to our shop, we are also in control of that. And the more consistent we are, the better quality these listings become, and that will happen gradually over time, because as you continue to work towards something and you keep doing that task over and over again, you'll get better and better at it. So we are in control of that, and those will improve over time, but it's kind of like simple math. The more listings you have out there, the more SEO, which is your title and your tags, which is what customers are typing into the search bar, how they're finding you. Well, the more of that you have in your shop, the better the chances are that you're going to get discovered by somebody and that you're going to catch someone's eye enough for them to click on your listing. Okay, so 3 tips out of 6 so far on tips to get your first 100 sales. I am most excited to share with you number 6 because I do feel that it is really the thing that won't just help you get your first 100 sales. It's going to be what helps you scale your shop out well beyond 100 sales. So far, we know we need to download the Etsy Sellers app so that we are alerted right away when someone is messaging us, and we can message them back right away before some other seller messages them back. 2, we know that we have to try to say yes. 3, we are going to add more quality listings to our shop. And number 4 is actually going to help us achieve number 3, adding more quality listings to our shop. We can perform A/B testing in our shops. An A/B test, or a split test, is where you take something and you test that one thing. So for example, you have 2 identical listings, but you duplicate the listing, so you have a second listing, and you just change the front mock-up image. Maybe you're testing a live model mock-up in the front versus a flat lay mock-up in the front. Or perhaps you duplicate the listing and you leave everything the same, but this time you're going to try a different chunk of SEO, a different title and tags. Or perhaps maybe you double the listing and you want to try a different pricing strategy. I am going to leave step-by-step instructions, a video with step-by-step instructions down in the description below, and it also has results of split testing that I've done in my own shop and what I found from that split testing. I have learned a great deal from split testing in my own shop, and in fact, one Christmas I split test a bunch of things, and one of those listings went on to make me around $7,000 profit in my shop. It's what I would consider my very first Q4. Q4, if you don't know, is October, November, December, and it's when you can make the very most money in your shop. Now, split testing really shouldn't be looked at a way of pumping your shop with more listings, because you will wind up duplicating listings that aren't great in an effort to just get more listings up. You shouldn't look at it that way. You should only split test when you really have good reason to believe that this listing could do well. You've done your research the best that you know how at this point in your journey, that you believe that design that is based on research. You believe that the mock-ups you're using are in the style of what is selling, and you are truly curious about something. So perhaps you're going to do a split test on mock-ups, but you're truly curious about which of these mock-up photos are going to do well. You don't want to hit it from, oh, let me list this like 7 times, so I'll put it on all these different colors and I'll just have it up everywhere. I wouldn't suggest doing more than an A-B test. I wouldn't do an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K test. I would just pick 2 things, especially as a beginner. This will teach you a lot, and you'll be super grateful when you have something go off and you're like, oh, well, this one went off and it's selling for me. And I would never have had this success had I not tried it up both ways. Once you start seeing more, and success doesn't have to be measured in sales, it can be measured in views. So if you see that one thing that you're testing is getting more views, so perhaps a particular mock-up, you're running multiple A/B tests with these mock-ups, and one particular mock-up is getting more traction, more views across different niches or different listings, different designs, then you know that, oh, wait a second, I don't even have to do this split test anymore. This mock-up is winning 19 out of 20 of the listings that I put up. So this mock-up is going to be the one that I'm using to help me get eyeballs on my listings. So split testing should really be used to learn and grow your shop, not to get multiple listings up forever and ever. Like that's just, you're just always going to duplicate things. It should be you learning, oh, well, the gray color shirt always gets more views, so I'm going to make that my leading photo. Or this particular mock-up does better than the other, so now I'm going to use that photo and now I'll split test something else. So that way you're constantly learning and constantly growing. So I do suggest watching the videos that I'll leave linked down below before you try applying this to your shop, but it is definitely a way that will help you get your first 100 sales if you're not there yet, once you learn to effectively employ it in your shop. Now, if you have heard conflicting information about being allowed to do A/B testing on Etsy, I will read this to you. It says here, and this is from Etsy themselves, for instance, you can create different options for your items in separate listings instead of offering variations within one listing. Do you have the same item available in blue? Can you offer customization in one of your items? You can also list the same product twice and switch up the titles and tags to reach a different target audience. So I will leave that link down below so you could do your own research on that and make sure that you're comfortable with it in case you've heard conflicting information on that. But it is something I've been using in my own shop for quite a while now. Tips number 5 and 6 kind of go together, and they are my favorite, and I hope I get to be the very first one to share some of this information I'm about to share with you. But before I get there, if you have found any value in this video so far, I would so sincerely appreciate it if you took an extra second to go down and just like the video and give us a thumbs up. And if you are not a regular around here, you're not subscribed yet, I would encourage you now and invite you to go subscribe. This is a channel that I'm collaborating with some friends on. So I've got my friends Laneta, Mike, and Shay, who all have their Etsy shops open. And I'm simply Shauna. I have a 6-figure shop, and my friends, of course, with so much success, I want my friends to enjoy that success with me. So they've opened their shops, and we've got Laneta, who is in the thousands now, and Shay, who is past 100, and Mike, who just announced his 16th sale as of when I was filming this video. So if you want to have the encouragement of watching people at different places and enjoying that journey with us and watching them grow, and we get to watch you grow, then take a second, subscribe, leave us a comment about where you're at right now in your journey. Have you gotten to your 100th sale yet? Are you at your 4th sale? Where are you? Maybe you're still thinking about opening your shop. So we'd love to hear from you. All right, so number 5, the 5th tip. If you don't know about this yet, you're going to love me for telling you about this. On your listings page, you can go over to the right-hand corner, and there is a toggle switch there. It says stats. When I opened my shop, it was like automatically turned off. So make sure it is toggled on, and then you're going to have all this extra information that comes up under your listings. You're going to be able to see how many times it was viewed in the last 30 days. You're going to be able to see if it's sold. This is going to be key when we move on to our 6th tip. Tip number 6 is to use that information to double down. I am going to talk about what double down means, but I will leave a full tutorial on how to double down effectively down in the description. And doubling down is how I have grown my shop. It is how I have scaled my shop. If I were to start a new shop tomorrow, I'd get to 100 way faster than I did the first time because I understand this concept now. Doubling down just means knowing what is working in your shop and doing more of it. So once you've toggled your stats on, you can use what are the views in the last 30 days? Which listings have the most views in the last 30 days? Which listings have the most favorites in the last 30 days? Make more of those. Make more versions of that phrase with different trending looks. And you just know what a trending look is by looking at bestsellers. Make more items in that niche in general. If the deadline for that niche is done, like let's say you made a funny pineapple Christmas shirt. Christmas is over. You're not going to make any more funny pineapple Christmas shirts. Perhaps you make another type of pineapple shirt. The point here is that you double down on things that are going to sell in that niche throughout the year. So you're kind of rounding your shop out with things that you're grabbing traction on. And again, this does not have to be something, when you're doubling down on something that's working, it doesn't mean you have to wait till you get a sale. You can work up that first sale by continuing to make items in the niches that are getting viewed, that are getting favorites. And this is going to look different for all of us depending on what phase we're in. In the beginning, if I had something that had 2 or 3 views on it, then I'm going to pay attention to that because everything else had 0. And eventually, you're going to start paying attention to the things that have 10 or 11 views. And then eventually, maybe it's going to take 15, 18 views. Honestly, there's still niches that I'm in that if I list it and like a week later I've got 10 or 11 views, I'm paying attention to that. Even now, that would get my attention and be worthy of my adding more. So you are going to double down on what is working in your shop, and you can use what you're seeing in those stats to help you know what is worthy of your time and energy to double down on. So I really tried to kind of organize my thoughts and when I thought about those 6 main things that I thought would help me get to my first 100 sales so that I could share them with you. Now I'm going to ask you to do something for me. I would love for you to go down in the comments and let me know which of those tips you felt was the most valuable. Which one are you the most excited to either try, or if you are experiencing success, which of those do you feel is the most valuable? I'd love to hear that from you. Now that you know my 6 tips to help you get to your first 100 sales, you might be wondering about how to stay strong and keep going when sometimes you might be feeling a little deflated and feeling like you wish things were moving along a little faster. Well, when you pair with what we talked about here with what Laneda talks about in this video here, you can't go wrong. You've got to pay special attention to when she talks about glimmers. I just think it's a beautiful idea and a beautiful thought. So we'll see you over there.